Okay, this e-waste keeps coming in, guys, and I got to try and fix as much as I can, and what I can't fix I'll scrap out or will part out and sell parts. I've been picking up a lot of stuff from a local charity shop, and this was on their shelves lately. It's a lamp. It's a pretty cool looking lamp. It's a rustic type old tin. I think I'm sure it's a modern one, but it's made to look old, and it has real dust on the top of it. And then a fairly heavy duty cane lampshade, and I think it says something Pacific. I don't know why it says Pacific, but it does. But it makes for a nice sort of rustic lamp. I think it looks pretty cool. It was in the pile of e-waste that the local charity shop leave out for me. They don't like to just take it to the tip or even to the e-waste recycling crates if it can be saved. There's no one at the charity shop that can actually test stuff, and they're worried about the legal issues of selling electrics. I can fix it. I can test and tag it. I can sell it through the shop. Certainly much better than being junked. So let's have a look at it and let's see what we have to do. Okay, the biggest issue usually with lamps is the shades get damaged. This one's actually quite strong, quite robust, and it doesn't appear to be damaged. And the cane actually has quite a nice vintage look to it. I think that actually would look really good. It's got part of the light fitting attached to the top, and I think that's the problem. I think the light fittings come apart. It has a switch in it, but it's not actually working. So something's come adrift inside. I think I'll replace the whole light fitting itself. It does have an earth wire, which it needs to because it has a metallic base. Now this looks like a really nice old domed lidded tin, the sort of something that you would find in an old farm kitchen. But if we do have a look inside, you'll see that it's nice and clean. It's the same color inside, and without a doubt this is a modern, probably a Chinese made, just a decorator tin. Look, there's nothing wrong with that. They have their place. They look great. Look at the base of it. It's even been painted the same. It doesn't display any wear. And in fact, there's a section there the paint's come off and it's bright, shiny metal underneath. But look, it has its place. These things, for someone setting up a rustic looking house, they really do fit the bill. And it would have been a shame for someone to drill a hole through the top and the back of a genuine early tin, whereas it doesn't kind of matter with this. Look at the hinges. Look how roughly it's been put on. I guess that's part of the appeal. But anyway, it makes a nice and interesting lamp base. Let's take this fitting off and see if we've got one that we can use for it. And as you can see there, it does have an earth point, and it needs to because the base is metal. Did I say that already? Not sure. Anyway, let's take it off and see if we can find something to replace it with. So there's just a collar on the top of this one. So let's remove that. And that was supposed to screw on to the top there. And the fitting doesn't appear to be damaged, other than the switch part doesn't work. So perhaps we can actually fix that. Let's pull a bit of wire through. So we've got a fair bit in the tin, and that'll allow us to perhaps undo it a little bit. Yeah, it's going to undo very easily. We probably should undo the earth wire. It would be better to fix this one because this one does have this little earth connection here, whereas a switch that I've got won't have an earth, and I'll have to make something up. Alright, well, that lift the wire through. Alright, the earth wire's pulled out now. We might need to feed more up. There we go. I think that's going to work. Oh, okay. It's got a little sleeve there, and the actual outer sheath is split down a bit lower than probably it should be. We need to get that plastic sleeve to slide down the outer part of the cord. Alright, let's trim the cord back a bit, I think. I'll try and give ourselves a bit of room to work in here. Okay, now can we get that little plastic collar to go down the cord a bit further? It's a bit tight, but then again it's supposed to be. That will probably give us enough to disconnect the wires on the plug. So you can see they're very modern wires. It's certainly not an old lamp, as much as it tries to look old. Okay, that's got all the wires out. So So I'll put that aside for now, and I'll see what we can work out with this switch. Doesn't want to move at all. Okay, well, let's clean some of the dust off this. It's certainly been sitting around for a while. It probably ended up in someone's shed when the switch malfunctioned, and then eventually got donated to the op shop. Which is interesting that people do donate damaged electrical goods to the op shop. You know, I think people just use op shops, or thrift shops as some of you call them. I think people just use them as a way to get rid of stuff without having to pay to dispose of rubbish, which is a bit of a shame, but I certainly don't mind all the e-waste coming to me. Alright, it looks like this has clips here, I think. Yes, there we go. We can clip it apart. Now, there's probably going to be a spring that the switch works against. We'll try not to have parts go everywhere. Let's carefully take it apart. There's two springs. They go up to the terminals. And this pink thing looks like, I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it means you can't turn it on while there's no globe in there. It must be a safety, because when you'd put the globe in, it would depress that plunger and probably allow the switch to operate. Okay, well, nothing looks damaged. That works on a spring. Yeah, nothing looks damaged. So we'll see if we can put it back together so that it actually works. Now, which way did that come out? That way, I think. So we know that spring goes in the bottom there. This went up through, there's our contacts. They look okay. They don't look burnt at all. This went up through here, and somehow that must slide, or allow the switch to slide when it's depressed. Ah, yeah, it would. So when you push this plunger down, so when it's like that, you can't operate the switch. When you push the plunger down, the switch will work. So it's a safety. I haven't actually seen one of these, but it's a safety so that you can't turn it on and provide power to those bits. Oops, one fell out. Now both fell out. Okay, that's better. When a lamp does not have a globe in it, those contacts are live. You have 240 volts across them. If little fingers were to reach in and touch them, it would be very bad. So this allows for the fact that it can't be switched on until there's actually a globe in it. So that's actually a cool idea. Alright, so everything looks in order. I think it was just maybe something came out of alignment. I reckon we can put it back together and have it operational. I wonder if we can assemble it this way and just put the top on. Otherwise, I'm not sure how I'm going to get it all together. Now that can go either way, that's symmetrical. Wow, that was fiddly, but it went in. Now, is it lined up the right way? I think those clips are lined up. Alright, before I clip it together, I'm going to spray a little bit of deoxit in there just to clean the terminals off. It'll be easier to get some in now whilst I can access the terminals properly. Alright, now we can clip it together. Hopefully everything stays aligned. Okay, now does the switch work? Well, it doesn't, but we need to push this pink plunger down, don't we? So that appears to work fine now. If I push the plunger down a bit, the switch seems a bit loose, but it still clicks. Maybe something isn't right. Maybe it's upside down. Oh no, it's not upside down. It just needs to have that plunger pushed right down. And then the switch works very positively. Alright, excellent. Let's put it back in the brass fitting. And that collar is, I think that collar is just for the shade. This collar holds it all together. We better clean up the tin first. No great restoration secrets in cleaning this up. Just wipe the dust off it. Yeah, it's certainly been in the shed for quite a long time. Okay, I've managed to get that little collar down the main part of the cord, so we will have to shorten the cord up the top so that it seals properly. And I'm going to put some glue around there just so it actually holds in place, because it had fallen out. Also, the one through the back of the tin had fallen out, which means you've got the cord going through sharp tin, which isn't ideal because it can easily cut through into the wires. That one appears undamaged, but it was only pressed in, so I'm also going to glue that one in so it gives that extra layer of protection there. And we will have to then shorten these wires up the top, which we'll do. I'll connect the earth first, but I'll leave a bit extra longer length on the earth wire so that if for some reason the cord gets pulled from underneath, the earth will be the last wire to let go, because you need to have that safety link there. So I'll trim these back a little bit. I'll trim up the wires and we'll connect the socket up again. I've trimmed the wires back with the earth wire a bit longer. We'll use our wire strippers here to peel the wires back, and I've raved about how good these sorts of strippers are before in previous videos, and I know a few of you have gone off and bought some and you love them. So again, I'll put the link underneath for these through Amazon. Oh, okay, it's not working because the little bits of plastic are still stuck in. You got to make sure you clean out the little bits of plastic. That's better. So now we're going to twitch all the wires. If you haven't rewired a lamp before, it's pretty easy. Even a plug. I did a video on rewiring a plug once. It's done very well for me. Always twitch the wires properly. Make sure there's no loose strands. And I like to crease them with my thumbnail and then fold them over. And it just gives plenty of extra bite for the screw when you poke them in the terminal. So we'll do that to the active and the neutral. And the earth we'll put on first, because it might be difficult to get in there once we have the other wires in the light socket. So they're nice and neat. And we'll do the screw up firm on the earth wire. Now we might poke those through that so that it can wrap around the outside and shouldn't get in the road of the switch. We will be pulling a bit more wire down, of course, once we get the fitting into place. Okay, it makes no difference on a light fitting which wire goes to which. It certainly makes a difference on a plug, but not on a light socket, because the lights will work either way. And the neutral wire in. Okay, they're both in. There's no strands floating around. We're all good to go there. So we can pull the wire back through and just make sure, particularly because the earth wire is a little longer, make sure it's not going to rub on the switch mechanism. That's out of the road nicely, and that should drop in beautiful. So now we can put this collar back on, which was actually off when we got it. That ties all the fitting together. She's a little loose on the top here. We'll just tighten that up. And the switch won't work at the moment. I'll find a globe to put in there. So if we put a globe in there and the switch works beautifully, that's great. Actually, that works really well. So when the globe's out, you can't turn it on, you can't zap yourself. Alright, so that's all secure. We will just rotate this a little bit, just because I like to have the switch in the right orientation as the lamp sits, because that's the widest part. That would be obviously the front with the latch. Now all we need to do is, now we can slide this little collar back up, which is quite firm, and it's good that it's firm because it'll stop it dropping down. Much easier to push up with pliers. And I might just put a little bit of super glue around the top of it as I push it in, just so it stays in place. I've just glued that little spacer in there. That will be much safer. It shouldn't slip out now with a bit of super glue on it. And we can do the same with where the cord goes through the back. I was going to glue the cord, but I decided not to. I've just glued the little grommet in there, and we'll make sure the cord doesn't actually grab, because if someone has to do work on this down the track, you don't want it all glued together, but we do want that grommet to stay in the tin. Otherwise, when you drag the cord through, it's like an apple peeler and it just slices the insulation off. Okay, let's plug it in and give it a quick test. So our globe can go in the top, like such. We will just connect the earth from the appliance tester to make sure we have an earth. Yes, it's good. So we should be able to turn it on. There we go. And that switch works great. Really positive. That's fantastic. Okay, there's only one thing left to do. See what it looks like with the shade on. And there we go. Actually, I think this is one of these lamps that you'll appreciate from a distance. There we go. That looks pretty cool. I reckon the backdrop here is terrible for a nice decorative lamp. We'll have to go and see what it looks like in our Airbnb, because that's probably where we're going to put it. And there it is. I think that's going to be its new home. It looks kind of good in here. We've dressed our Airbnb up with all sorts of stuff. That's obviously modern but made to look old, but it kind of fits with a bit of Art Deco. We've got some Art Nouveau. We've got some, well, it's a 30s piano, a 1920s sideboard, bit of everything. Some antique furniture, some modern stuff, a bit in the retro theme. So including my starburst clock up the top there. So I reckon this works really well in the living room of our Airbnb. That's where it's going to stay. As far as value goes, I probably would have put around about $50 to $60 on it in the shop. Pretty easy fix, as you saw. It's safe, it's tested, and it's great that it's been saved from being thrown out. So thanks for watching, guys. A quicker video this time. I figured I might as well film everything I do because there's lessons in things for all of us. And I hadn't actually seen one of those light sockets where you can not electrocute yourself when there's no globe. So there you go, I've learned something. Catch you in the next video. Bye for now.